What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. We are, yes, here at the fire pit. It's a beautiful day today. It's kind of windy, a little overcast. Looks like it's probably going to rain maybe at some point, but that seems to be every day, every day here lately. Here in rural central Mississippi. In this video, I want to talk about fathers. Yesterday was Father's Day. I did enjoy the day very much so. I spent most of it with my children, or most of my children, anyways. A few couldn't make it, but and it was a wonderful day. I always thoroughly enjoy seeing all of my kids. Whenever I can have all of them together, that is amazing. Sometimes that's hard to accomplish. And yesterday that unfortunately wasn't accomplished, but understood. But the one thing that I enjoy, quite honestly, more than anything in the world, is being a father. I absolutely love being a father. I always have loved being a father. And if I feel like if I fail at anything else, or fail at everything else, the one thing that I am the most determined not to fail at, or at the very least fail the least at, is being a father. I absolutely love my kids. I adore them. I think they're the most amazing kids in the world. And yes, I just love being a father. Fatherhood has been the most meaningful thing in my entire life. Being able to watch them grow up as much as I could, spending as much time with them as I could, which was hard at times, depending upon certain circumstances. But I thoroughly do love and enjoy being a father. And for all the fathers out there that truly love being a father and truly love your kids and everything, I hope you had an amazing day yesterday. I truly do. I hope you were able to see your kids and spend time with them. And I hope all fathers, generally, honestly, was able to spend or see or speak to or something to their children. Because I feel a lot of times, the core of this video, I feel a lot of times fathers do ultimately go I think ultimately fathers do go unappreciated, like fully unappreciated, and not necessarily by their kids. I want to be by society at large. I feel that fathers a lot of times go unappreciated. They get a bad rep. There's a bad connotation around fatherhood oftentimes, especially in certain communities or in certain sections of the population, certain locations, regions, certain states, the way it's like society, you know, societal norms, or, you know, policies, local policies, or different things. Like there are in many different ways. I think fathers are oftentimes unappreciated, or are put in a position where they feel less than. And I can't help, and while there are, and it's mostly because I know sometimes I like start stuff and then I apologize, but I think it's mostly because of some bad apples, right? And because of the bad apples, like the entirety of fathers somehow get a bad rep, like in general. And yes, there are pockets where, you know, they are appreciated, and of course maybe within a personal family, you know, community, or family setting, they are very much appreciated, and loved, but I think I'm talking about in a more general sense. Fathers are way more prone to being represented, or being, again, the societal kind of normality that they're just there's negativity to it, and oftentimes, again, feeling less than, especially in comparison to mothers. In a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways I think it's sort of almost, for mothers, they're almost, in some degree, and this is not to beat down on mothers or in any way, or even just like I think that any good mother or father, loving, caring, you know, compassionate and passionate about their being a parent, you know, should be, you know, held up and praised, and made to feel, you know, like they're doing, you know, they are being what they are supposed to be, you know, or they are achieving and succeeding at being a parent. Like, it doesn't matter for me whether it's a mother or a father. I think both should equally be, you know, I hate to say rewarded, but like, if whatever, you know, like, you know what I mean. But I just feel like there's a lot of, most of the time, mothers, in any mother failing, so to speak, or any kind of negative thing connected to motherhood in general, they are often, I feel like they are more, they're more susceptibility to apologizing for that, or finding some sort of forgiveness for that, more than with fathers. And that, for me, is I feel that, and I feel that has created this sort of, and maybe not even, I don't know if it's intentional, but like, and don't think it's intentional, but it has, I think it has created, or I can't help but question whether or not it has created this condition in society that, where that has made it to where even what you would consider more mediocre father, parent, you know, that maybe doesn't over succeed or any way or whatever, like, but just, I feel like that's even bad to say. That's not really what I mean. a person that would succeed in if in a different environment, if in a different societal like condition, would succeed as a parent or would succeed as a father because of pressure, stress, or the negative like attributions placed just in general, have created conditions where some ultimately fail or feel some kind of way that causes them to ultimately fail in some sort of way or be less than, because they feel less than, they just are less than, you know. Because some people, when you place them in, and this is not just with, I mean, with anything, you know, it's when we're stress, anxiety of societal pressure and norms when it comes to anything, you know, some people are more prone than others or whatever to pressures and stress, and it causing them to collapse within that pressure than to rise out of it, you know. The wheel or like negative opinions of themselves or whatever ultimately succeed in just bringing them down to the point that they just don't care, whatever. Like I'm concerned, I feel concerned about the societal pressures and just negativity around fatherhood, especially again in certain areas. I'm not saying overall, but in certain states, certain policy making, certain things, I can't help but wonder if that has created conditions for some people to feel less than, therefore they ultimately act a little more less than. In other words, there's us creating conditions much like with like the wealth gap, and creating conditions of more, you know, harsher conditions that are increasing poverty or whatever, contribute to other societal issues. The same thing here. If we're not promoting, if we're not holding up parents in general, mothers as well, but like fathers, I feel are held down even more. There's this feeling that I feel with fatherhood that comes off, the expectation, it comes off more transactional. Like fathers are more, or expected just to be more transactional, to be the like an economical or like, you know, monetary like support, you know, or the bank, basically. Like that's what the fathers are expected to be, and mothers are expected to be more on the like actual developmental, emotional, the loving, like that's expected of them. It's not expected for them, like the more personal side is placed more on mothers, and a more transactional thing, support wise, is placed on fathers. And I feel that that is a very unfortunate balance, and something that causes fathers even more so to feel less than. And when we should be bringing up the expectations for fathers and mothers to both be all of those things. But when we're conditioning policies and the way we, you know, especially when we're talking about mothers and fathers that, you know, separate, and there's and there's some kind of like custodial, like custody type arrangement. You know, some states are a little bit more fair than others, you know, for me. and I guess there's always a subjective opinion of what is fair, but when one parent is considered one way over another parent in another way, I feel that that is unfair, because it creates this societal like conditioning over time that gives this negativity to one than over the other, and that ultimately feeds through all of society. It feeds in women's opinions about men, mothers' opinions about fathers, grandparents' opinions about fathers, to the extended family, or eventually even feeds into the child's opinion about fathers and the expectations around that. And when you limit that scope, when you limit that to just being a transactional thing, that ultimately belittles that person, that father, thinking that that's all he's worth, thinking that's all he's expected of. And I feel saddened thinking about that, because for me, I want to be, as a father, just as much of an emotional and loving and compassionate and conditioning influence on my kids, just as much as their mother or mothers are. And while I do think that my kids ultimately feel that and know that, I still can't help but like worry about society at large. Like, I often, with everything that I address on this channel, through politics, life, or whatever, it's about, I'm very much a fair. I try to be as fair as possible when thinking about all facets of life. And I know there's this general concept of life of life's not fair, just deal with it. But like, why? Like, I often have to question, why do you say that? Why is that the concept? Life's not fair, just accept it. There's no perfection in life. Deal with it. It's the way it is. You just have to accept it. Blah 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 blah. But that's just the most silliest thing, in my opinion. When that shouldn't be the way it is. So, and I know that's very generalized, and I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I just ultimately feel like fathers aren't appreciated enough. I mean, some could argue that men in general are not really appreciated enough, but, and again, I think that's just the societal normality, the societal practice, and labeling, and associations, attributions that have been placed on, one person versus another in society, of expectation, of role, or like, it's the reason why it seems so taboo to, consider one in a different role than what's like, that's always been weird to me, like, oh, the father is supposed to be the worker, the mother is supposed to be at home, and when those roles are reversed, where the mother is working, the father is staying at home, that just seems so weird. That seems so, what? The father shouldn't be doing that. But it's because of like years and years, decades, centuries of these societal labeling and practices that have created this. And while there is breaks and cracks in that, and there are changes, more modern opinions and thoughts on these types of things, but like, there's still a very strong sense and systematic like conditions that very much place people in a very narrow minded way. And I think I feel like those kinds of things need to continue to change and evolve and progress. And opinions of people, like a more equal and fair opinion. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I've lost it here at this point as far as a point. I don't know. Mothers and fathers, as long as they are meeting, like they were doing what they're supposed to do, trying their best, regardless of whether it's a mother or father, should be uplifted and celebrated and rewarded, or you know, celebrated equally in expectation on all parts of being a parent, not just one thing or another. And I think if we did that as a society, lifting up all, then we would have a better outcome with mothers and fathers alike. But even more so when it comes to fathers and fatherhood and stepping up, or you know, feeling like they are cared about, feeling like they do mean something, and not just transactionally. That they mean something emotionally. They mean something, you know, developmentally. Fundamentally. Not just a bank teller or a Santa Claus, if you get my drift. Anyways, thank you for joining me here. Again, I hope I hope everybody had a wonderful Father's Day, and thank you to all those fathers out there who are stepping up and being fathers. You're amazing, and keep doing it. Keep your head up, even if you might be getting a bad rep, or you might be feeling less than at times, for whatever reason. Keep trying, keep pushing. You always can learn, but also don't let that negativity bring you down, and because you are doing a great job. So thank you very much for joining me. Let me know what you think, and until next time, peace. Clear Talk, I'm out.